Was it six?
All right, we're back for episode 67 of the Idiot Circle. I'm Mike,
The Czar.
I'm Tim.
and we have two very special guests. You can see the broadcast team for the Mariners, Craig Zimmerman and Jesse LeBoon. How you doing, guys?
Fellas.
Nice.
So good.
What's
Yeah.
that?
So far, so good.
Yeah, it's early, right?
Early.
Just wait.
So I'm glad you guys joined us. Thanks for joining us to get a preview of our beloved Marine City Mariners. So let's talk about some of the things that you guys been working on. And you're working on stuff in the off season, probably getting squared away for the season. What is that process like for you guys?
Go ahead. Well, typically this time of year, a week or two before, we'll get a roster from Coach Letts in there after the practices have started, and we'll try to fill in the gaps. We got some things to talk about here about some spots that had some seniors graduate last year, so some spots on both the offense and the defense that have opened up, and kind of just talk about some of the returners, kind of recap last season, and then talk about our schedule this year and what we're going to expect to see. And it's going to happen quick. We're only 2 weeks away. A week from Friday is the first game, so they do have a scrimmage this day, so that'll be a good look to see what they're looking like.
Yeah. So what are they looking like, or what do you think this season's going to go like?
Should be pretty good. About 5 returning starters on offense, 5 returning starters on defense. So I think they got a pretty good nucleus. 2 guys in the front line, Jeremy Westrick and Will Steyer, both seniors. I think they're 3-year start. The backfield, you got Parker Atkinson at wide receiver. He's a senior. Cooper Letson at the H-back, junior. Lincoln Oshland's only a sophomore, but he played a lot of downs last year at quarterback. He'll be, like I said, a sophomore quarterback. And then you've got a couple guys that are, weren't starters necessarily, but played a lot. Paul Muscat, one of the running backs, and Cam Maluski. So they had a lot of experience at the running back position. And then on the defense, yeah, you got Jeremy Westrick again, a 2-way player as defensive end, and then defensive tackle on the other side, Evan Jones. And then you've got Bodie Ramsey, a senior, coming back, and safety Nick Ruffino, and safety Parker Atkinson. So you definitely have some experience there in on the front, on the defensive line, and in the secondary. So
I think Ruffino's been on that team for a couple years now, right?
No, good catch, Czar. You missed that.
Uh-oh.
Is the brother.
Oh,
and Nick will be a sophomore. He was a freshman last year and played in the playoffs. So his brother was a senior that played everywhere, offense and defense.
So is he a lot like his brother? Same build, same makeup, or is he a little different? What does he look like?
Yeah, I would say a similar build. Definitely similar physical makeup. Haven't seen too much of him. We watch him a little bit in the JV. Yeah. So I guess time will tell, once we get into the season as far as varsity, because, and another thing, a lot with these, even some sophomores and juniors here that, other than the loss against opener against Armada, and then the loss against Durand, and then the last season loss against Hamady. I mean, the season was pretty cool and collected for them. And we were a lot of points scored. So a lot of these younger players got a lot of time on the field, even with that. I mean, there's a lot of experience there to be gained at the much faster pace, at the varsity level.
Yes. Hey, Tim, I'm going to take a new stance on this. I've been calling Marine City football the Alabama of the thumb, right?
Yeah.
For years. I'm changing. I'm changing them to the Georgia Bulldogs of the thumb.
All right.
There you go.
Change.
I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan.
You like that? It's better. It just rolls off the tongue better, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fred, compare them to Michigan?
I
don't see down here. You, Craig?
Yeah, who knows what Fred would say? That's a crapshoot. But we know if he's going to say something, it's going to take about 15 minutes to say what we can say in like 5 words. The 4 of us, or the 5 of us on the call right now, right? So.
We might even get the whole show done by the time he gets back on.
Yeah, right. Yeah. As he gets back on, we'll just be ending. Hey guys, talk a little bit about the quarterback change they did. Was it last year?
Well, last year, basically our quarterback was hurt for half the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
There was a lot of that about. I mean, you could kind of figure it out if you go back and watch the game. So they definitely did a lot of changing around and things, and that obviously tried to work to their strengths and their weaknesses. And when someone's dinged up, they try to introduce somebody else that think they can fill the role. So
Jeffrey Heslop he had a pulled muscle for at least half the year, and I don't think he was ever 100. Lincoln, freshman. If nobody would have told you he was a freshman, you wouldn't have guessed it.
You wouldn't have guessed it. Yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of came in. I mean, to talk about a little bit of that offense when we watch it, I mean, it's so much plug and play, right? They look so dynamic in the same way year after year. The names change, the numbers change, but it's just like watching the same thing over and over. That dominance in that run game, the way they run block. Talk a little bit about how they've been able to keep that sustainable year after year.
I think one of the things I think that's huge is there's been a couple coaching changes by way of retirements. Bill Nesbitt retired because his son's in the final year at St. Clair playing football, so he's wanting to watch his kid. And then you've got our assistant coach,
Brent?
Andy Shield is coaching during the week, but not going to be there on Fridays because his son is in senior year playing football as well. But
Okay.
the change that comes in is Joe Forgetto goes from JV head coach to assistant and the offensive line coach for the varsity. So, I mean, who knows it better than Joe? Joe learned it,
and you ask guys that's sustainable because, you've got guys that are teaching from the freshman, the JV level, like they come up to varsity, and other than I'm sure some different twists and things that the coaches up there do, and the faster pace of play, but they've been for years. So I mean, like we were earlier, you basically have 2.5 weeks of practice, and you're in a game one. So when they come that clean, that crisp, I mean, this is something years in the making.
Yeah. There's no hiccups there with Coach Forgetto coming up into his position. No hiccups at all. So that's he's been, how many years has he been in the program? Do you know?
about 20.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, he's behind I always say this, there's a big stage on Friday nights, but he's the guy behind the curtain.
Oh yeah.
Wizard
Wizard
of
of
Oz.
Oz.
So long.
The
Unbelievable.
Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz. Craig,
Unbelievable.
talk to us about that the studio you got there. It looks pretty amazing.
Oh, it's just a place to hang out and
It
do some
is.
things.
I would say this rivals the Taj Mahal. You guys stop down.
The czar sees him sitting in there one day watching a game, having a nice glass of bourbon. That's what the czar sees. That's what I see.
The czar could be spot on. In fact, he's got a little back here, bottle 97 and 98. We were just discussing.
Oh,
The key is to let the czar in there while you two are doing the play-by-play on a Friday night. I don't know if that's possible or not, Zim.
I got some Denver, North Carolina moonshine directly
Ooh.
from Carolina.
Nice.
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 Yeah,
That
don't
sounds
let the
good.
czar in there. Unless you're
Czar
gonna
will drink all your stuff. That's what
Yeah.
the czar will do.
you have to be concerned with a guy that refers to himself in the third person with a nickname.
Yes.
I don't know. That's on a Freddie level, I think. Almost.
Only to a certain time, which I will then announce that I will be referred to as a symbol. We've talked about this. I'm not sure what you guys.
Yeah, I got a symbol for you.
Yeah.
So
Guys-
guys, week 2 is the first home game, week 2?
Boston.
Clawson. So that'll be a good game. Now you talk a little bit about the town. I mean, you talk about Friday night lights, and the traditions of Marine City football for how many years going on. I know from just talking, you guys in town a little bit more than I am, but man, people are geared up for this year. They're looking forward to it.
I think they every year, and like we were talking earlier, with all the things that go on behind the scenes, and not only from a player experience, from a fan experience. Now there's a lot of time and money spent, and we've got some donors to step up this year to help support some of the newer and the older things that we've had going there at the stadium. So
Yeah, I mean, we've added on some traditions with the upgrade of the boat, with you got your I don't even know what to explain. You got the pyro, you got your fire going, you got the run of the tunnel. Explain a little bit about that's going on.
Yeah, well, you start with the boat, which obviously houses the infamous cannon, and
Yep.
then got the smoke when they run out of the tunnel, and then we've got some propane shooters that shoot a good, I'd say 8 to 12 foot flame out, with remote,
Yep.
and then Penn home game win. We shoot off some fireworks as a celebration for the fans and for the players as well.
Yeah. Rumor has it the flamethrowers take out the mosquitoes when they get real bad.
Well, the rumor has it that this year St. Clair Saints stepped up their game. They got M80 firecrackers. And then Elginak still has the sparklers. So they still, they got all that going for them.
Oh,
Well, St. Clair,
no.
week
Three.
was it three.
Week 3.
It's a St. Clair home game,
Oh,
but I would make a prediction and say that the cannon will go off. Fireworks probably will go off. As normal.
doesn't St. Clair have some big horn or something like that? What is it?
I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see if they score, and then they can use
Oh.
it.
Anyway, Jeff.
They could go hornless.
I love it.
Hornless.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So,
Somewhere in
what's
the
up, boys?
mid-season, Craig St. Clair will say, let's use the horn for any first down that we get instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's up, boys?
Red eye.
Uh-oh.
Hey, let's give a quick shout out to Steve's Towing for fixing my damn tire. I'm like, hey, the best part was a block away from the house, so that was the key.
You ran home.
Well, there's no running it, and that word is out of my vocabulary, boys. So, what have I missed?
Everything. We're
Yeah,
gonna
we're all
about ready to
done.
wrap it
Wrap
up.
Awesome.
the show.
Hey, it was nice. Hey, we're on YouTube. Yeah. First of all, I would be remiss to mention our condolences to the Beatty family and Angie Rossi losing Bob Beatty the other day, and
Yeah. sad day.
unexpectedly, great man, great supporter of Mariner football and Mariner
Oh, yeah.
sports in general. Angie's a great person, and that whole family is awesome. And to lose somebody like that, especially a big figure in this town, of Marine City, is
Yes.
kind of a huge bummer. And I'll tell you, he'll be missed for sure.
For sure.
So Mariner football. Where are we
Well,
at?
we haven't really been talking about that. We've been talking about everything else.
All right. Well, I missed out on that. Well, okay, I didn't miss out on that at all.
We went over
So-
the schedule. Week 2, we talked a little bit about tradition. We talked a little bit about what's going on at the stadium. The kids running out. We got fireworks on the victory. We got the cannon going off. We talked a little bit about the offense, a little bit defense, some names of the kids. So that's where we're at.
So what I want to know is, who is the kid on the team that has a head that's even remotely close to the size of Tim's and is built like a bowling ball?
Yeah,
Is there
there's
anybody
no one.
like that?
Foster for this one.
I think you'd have to look in the high 80s to 90 numbers.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, there.
Scarcelli said he couldn't get a helmet to fit this melon.
Well, it's either you or Todd Davis. They had the two
Yeah.
biggest helmets I've ever seen. I mean,
Oh yeah.
It-
Oh, yeah.
it looked like the helmets that used to be on the golf carts that brought the baseball players out from the bullpen back in the
The
70s.
pitchers. The pitchers of the 70s.
But I guarantee you this: Scarcelli will tell you don't want to get hit by this head.
Yeah, there's no damaging that head.
No,
No.
no.
So, boys, I mean, I know that you guys talked a little bit about the offense and stuff like that. Obviously, some of the key players are like Lincoln Osterlin and Paul Muscat. Is there any surprise players that we should really be looking out for as well?
No, that's one of those things that you don't want to name one kid or two and then you miss a third or a fourth. But I mean,
Yeah.
you mentioned Muscat. He's going to be a huge, running, in the running back. Cam Maluski that carried the ball a lot. So I think Cam will be, but not a starter. He'll certainly be,
Yeah.
plugged
Well,
in.
he'll be a
lot.
starter one way or another.
Yeah.
He's a very talented athlete. Has a lot I think we'll do a pretty good job this year. But I mean, remember, a lot of the kids' names you're going to be hearing this year are juniors. So
Yep.
some of them had some experience last year on the varsity level, some not. There was some really good athletes that performed well last year on the JV level that I think are going to really show some real promise here this year.
Well, the one thing I can tell you is the advantage that Marine City has is they have a JV coach like Joe Forgetto to actually help prepare these kids. You know, and I really see that as a huge plus. You know, but the one thing that, I mean, you know how it is every year, you guys, and I know that, you know, Mike, you've heard it, Tim, you've heard it, and I know all, and both Jesse and Craig have heard it, is okay, you know, they lost a lot of players. How are they going to be this year? So how would you, if somebody came up to us and asked us that question, how would you think that we should answer that question?
It's Marine
Every year.
Yeah, just like every other year.
They reload.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah,
It's a
they build
reload.
it through their youth programs, and the other guys do what they see what their predecessor has done, and they emulate and do the same, right?
Yes, and Forgetto took on a new position too, right, guys?
Forgetto's on the offensive line, and you know, basically
Varsity.
like coach on varsity now. So
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Who's
he's
the
no longer
JV coach this year?
Yep.
Jeremy Kurzakowski took on the JV program.
Jeremy. Yeah. Jeremy's a good guy. Jeremy's been in the program forever. Hasn't
Jeremy
he?
graduated in 08. He was on the state championship team in 07. Played then, came back and helped coach JV, ninth grade, might have even done some eighth grade. I'm not sure about that. But he was a teacher in a couple spots. He was a teacher in Port Huron, Cardinal Mooney, Anchor Bay. And as soon as he got a call back, there was an opening here. He, you know, jumped at it. So yeah,
Great.
he's.
Fantastic.
I did it, and for Channel 6, Jeremy says, you know, I'll make mistakes, but he says, I know you guys will be behind me to help. You know, so
That's
I
right.
think he knows it. He knows the system. He knows how it rolls all the way back to the days that he played. So
Yeah. Quality,
Guys,
quality
is
young
there-
man. Quality.
Is there anybody that you know, and you may not know this, but we faced last year, or a team we're going to face this year that has some scary talent, some team or a couple players out there that Marine City's going to face that's just going to be someone you'd want to watch play football?
in years past, based upon the fact that they've got a bunch of returning guys. Now, you don't know whether that's going to turn out, you know, as far as their record or the score, but you know, and St. Clair is always a big thing.
You know, I think week 1 this year is important too, because, you know, Armada came last year and gave us a punch in the mouth there, the first game of the season. And we'd like nothing more than to go do that to them this year too. So if there's any incentive there for these first couple weeks of practice to get your stuff, that's one right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Any
Talked
idea
about
of how much talent? I mean, how much talent Armada has? I mean, were they a senior laden team last year?
Oh, they claim they graduated a lot, but I don't think you can even bring that into the equation. They beat you last year, so you got to go make your own
Right.
deal.
Well, I just trying to get a feel for what, you know, what to expect. I'm sure that Mariner Nation will our orange and black against their orange and black. I think that stadium should be packed the first week. Is it true that they moved the game? I had somebody who was actually from Armada say that they moved the game a day. Is that, have you heard anything?
Friday, so
Yeah, the 25th is Friday, as far as we know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you
That,
talked about a matchup. Wow, that's an awesome
yeah,
match.
so
Awesome.
they got, week 1, they got Armada. Who in week 2, they have
Boston.
Boston at home. And then they have St. Clair as an away game. But-
Yep.
Okay. And then what's week 4 looking like?
Home versus South Lake.
So they got the Cavaliers coming to town. Okay.
at Marysville the following week. Marysville's getting new turf. So Fred, I've heard that they've changed their game venue for the first 3 games. I heard. Have you
Really?
seen? Yeah, so they're
Yeah.
so they're getting new field turf. So we're supposedly, from what I heard yesterday, was that the Marine City Marysville game will be their first home game on the new turf.
In their old stadium and new
Yeah.
turf. Yeah.
Okay.
Where's their venue? They'll play at Memorial Stadium where you know where they're playing?
Catch that? I don't know. Yeah, that's a question. I don't know.
If only we knew somebody that lived in Marysville that was really
Yeah, who
close
lives
to
in Marysville that
seeing
could
them.
go around the corner?
Huh. I don't know
No.
who.
Yeah, I know Marysville's always got flat tires.
Hold on.
That's the
I got-
city
here,
motto,
I got-
flat
I mean,
tire.
here, I got a card for you. Hey, I might live in this town, but I try to first. I have a PPO against that school and anywhere near that stadium until they play Marine City at that field.
Oh God,
and
Mike,
and we got to remember the last time they played there, right,
Mike,
guys?
Yeah. Oh,
Mike,
we remember.
we gotta tell these guys that story because that was just epic.
Oh, so Rob and I met Fred at the game. We were a little late, I admit, because we had a few beers at the Moose
A
and
little late. You're almost. It was halftime.
No, it wasn't. It was
Oh,
midway.
it was.
That's
Midway-
when I get.
No, it was midway through the first quarter. You came from the Marysville side over the Marine City side. Don't give us that bullshit. But anyway, so we get towards the end of the game. Fred is just fucking livid because
Yeah.
they scored. Just absolutely beside himself. Not the first time this has happened, obviously, guys. So we kept saying, Fred, take it easy, man. It's still got a shot here. Couple plays, and he just F-bombing. He was beside himself.
I
He
was
was
repping
out-
Marine City the right way.
He was out. No, you weren't repping Marine City, right? We were confident you were overboard, man.
He was pacing.
He left
back
his
and
body.
forth.
You could see he left his body and he was yelling at himself from up above. That's how livid he was. And what happens? Like, what is it? 4 plays later, they're in the end zone, or 5 plays later. And, of course, we rubbed that into Fred. We kept telling him, man, just take it easy. It's just going off. And,
Oh.
Yeah, they had to go get the wheelchair from first aid to get me to my car because I was having panic attacks and I was going into convulsions.
Guys,
I'm like, oh,
when Marysville scored their last touchdown, Fred could only be summarized the look of what's the Michigan State's coach, Mel Tucker.
Mel Tucker.
That you see the anger on that guy's face when he's on
Veins
the
popping
sideline.
out,
Yeah, like
sweating.
sweat and anger and veins. That's how Fred looked. That's
that really hurt.
So, huh?
Anybody but Mel Tucker. Really?
Love it.
boy.
I love it.
I could have said Jason Day or Ryan Day or
Jason
Well,
Day.
Jason Day, what are we golfing now all of a sudden, dipshit? Yeah. Hey, I remember when I had my first beer. Hey, get your shit straight, big
No,
boy.
I'm not drinking.
Yeah,
I should be.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Okay, so guys, any updates with any of the system at the stadium, video wise, where you broadcast? I know they've been doing some things at the schools and stuff. Anything at the stadium?
I
Need to
did
know about?
up in the spring there. They do cameras on the pedestals. So
Okay.
I probably look forward to a lot better video quality from that. Those
Good.
look quite an upgrade from the from outside looking in.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Now-
Did they do any updates inside the press box, guys?
I'm not sure. I haven't been up there.
I guess don't mess with tradition.
That's right.
There's a beehive.
Yeah, there's a bee.
Yeah.
There's a wasp. Yeah, it's right underneath where I sit. Probably.
Yeah. Now, are you guys still going to be able to communicate? Was it just the playoff games where you were communicating online or streaming where you could have people send questions in or anything like that?
Over
Yeah,
the
that
year
was a couple years ago.
when
Well-
we live can't do it live. MHSAA is sort of like the NCAA,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Bunch of assholes.
Yeah. Hey, hmm.
500 people. They could, crazy.
Yeah. So I have a question for you guys. Something that always bothers me when Marine City gets deep in the playoffs. What is the passing game going to be like? Because we know that they're going to run. We know they're going to be able to run. But then when they get one-dimensional and they can't really pass, that's when they run into some problems. What's it going to be like this year? Because honestly, I'm expecting them to reach the playoffs again. I think everybody on the call is. What happens when they get deep in the playoff against some of these teams that can pass and also defend the run. I mean,
Frank,
do
move.
they have, do they have enough balance to handle that?
When you look at the amount of years that we've gone very deep in the playoffs, we've been to Ford Field 4 times in the last 15 years. We've been to regionals, gosh, probably 6 or 8 times in that amount of time. So I don't think we can say that we don't adapt well. When we got the horses to open up and go wide, I think we can. You know, I think this year we've got a lot of speed. I think this will be one of the faster teams we've seen in a lot of years. I mean, so
You still got Parker Atkinson.
Yep.
And you know, and they got, you know, and some of the receivers, a couple of the receivers got some height to them too.
Depends where you're putting them. I mean, you know, Parker be the main one, I guess. But then you got Colin Gabler on the, you know, from the tight end position probably. You know, Cam Malewski might catch a few balls. And then, you know, might put Paul Muscat out in some spots too. I mean, because he's got a lot.
And that's
He's one of those kids that can play. He can play. You know, he can run the ball. He can catch the ball. You can split him out and cause some mismatches too. Because you know, I noticed him the one game that you know, I subbed for you, Craig, to do the game when they played Grosse Pointe South or North a couple of years ago, and was pleasantly surprised and saying, boy, I can't wait to see this kid get his opportunity. And he got his opportunity a little bit last year and really kind of picked it up when he got into the playoffs. So that's, and of course it's nice to, you know, that you have a quarterback like Lincoln Osterlin that actually got, you know, the majority of the snaps last year. Yeah, you know, because Heslop got hurt and then they moved Heslop to the, you know, to a running back and he just ran people over. But you know, the key is, you know, how close are they going to be Division 5 this year? They're on the verge of being Division 6 here, are they not?
I would guess they're probably 20 students off that, I would guess, somewhere in that.
Yeah, because according to what I heard is there's only 60 freshmen in the whole class.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know.
Okay,
Man, the numbers are getting.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy just thinking about it.
Man,
We've talked about that, guys, about, you know, the bringing in the 2 high schools. So you may not have heard much about that, you know, doing the show, but what have you guys heard? What's the players or the program have said about it? Is that on anybody's focus or on their minds?
Joining 2 schools?
Yeah.
I think that was put to rest, you know, around millage time, because the millage, they, you know, tried to do a 1 school and didn't pass. So they went to the 2 campuses, and that's pretty much the way it's going to be, I think, for the next generation.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I didn't know that. Good to hear that, because we've always heard.
Yeah.
I've heard that they're, you know, they've been talking about it for so long.
Yeah.
So it's good to know.
Yeah.
And I personally for it, I mean, but I don't think it'll ever.
Well, so to you guys, what year is this for you guys in the booth doing the play-by-play?
Well, it was my 4th. I don't remember how many.
No, you got it's longer than 4 because you were doing it the year before I started doing the announcing. I know that it's been 5 or 6.
5, and I think it'll be my 24th year.
So, that's crazy.
How'd you get into this, Craig? Talk a little bit about that. I mean,
afternoon, and then told me that they were going to put together a program to do games, and wanted to know if I'd be interested in doing the play-by-play. And so I can remember it like it was yesterday. Bob calls, leaves a message. I call him back. He asked me, and I said, yeah, let me, you know, I don't know if I said think about it or what, but I told my wife, and she said, what do you mean you're going to think about it?
Yeah.
can't tell that guy no way. Right.
And then you look at the amount, and I do a lot of stats during the year, and I've got a package of stats that I keep up every year, and it's amazing. I mean, we are literally probably, if not top 5, we're for sure top 10 in the state for wins in that period of time I've been doing it. And I mean, we go all the way from playing the Orchard Lake teams of the 90s, where realistically, I mean, it's like playing a small college team. So we had sort of no business competing against them. We did, but I think, looking back at what Coach Bob did back then, I mean, we competed with these teams and had no business competing with them. I think we'd have won a couple more state championships had we not had to go through Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
I totally agree.
And the crazy thing is, I remember speaking to Mike Batchelor, who I went to high school with, because his son was on the 07 team, my son was on the 07 team. And after that, we said, it's not likely that in our lifetime we're ever going to get back to Ford Field. I mean, it's just not small town likely.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've been back there 3 times and out of 4 we've won 2 is pretty darn amazing.
Yeah.
And then you look at just the times we've gone to regionals and been maybe a step away from a semi or a step away from Ford Field again type of thing. I always say it's amazing to be part of it in some way. And it's pretty easy to do when you got a product like we've got in front of us, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. Yeah, my favorite line to say is it's a fine oiled machine.
Yeah.
Rob loves it when I say that, but the thing, it's been a great experience, not only as a fan, going to the games and then being asked to take over for Dave Scheel, who literally did the announcing for 31 years, and being able to be in the booth with you guys and being able to go through some of those experiences and actually, being up in the booth at Ford Field, helping the Ford Field guys out doing the game. It is a great experience, and it's something that, obviously, the kids strive for, and obviously, the coaching staff, but the thing is the fans, and us in the booth, we strive for that too. And, we, it's like, we expect to be in that mix, every single year, and that, that we should be in the running, or at least in the semifinals, in a 5-year span, 4 times, something along those lines, because that's just how much we believe into the program. And being in Division 5, you're going to run into your Frankenmuths and you got some of these other teams, like Grand Rapids Catholic Central and people like that. And I think Grand Rapids, moved up a division, if I'm not mistaken. But you got all these teams kind of moving up and moving around because of enrollment. But the cool thing is it's getting a chance to watch these kids go through an experience that every kid in the state of Michigan, or even in our area, that wishes that they could be involved in it, and they get to look forward to it every year, and knowing that they have an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters what division we're in, whether it's 4 or 5 or 6. You're going to have your Lansing, your Grand Rapids contingencies.
Yep.
Play who's in front of you.
That's right.
Yeah. It was what do you prediction on the season, guys? What do you think? How many wins? Where they wind up? What are they going to do?
I don't ever like to give a number, but I tell you what, I think we're just going to see a continuation of what we've seen in the past years. Now, 8-3 is somewhat disappointing from our standards,
Right, what you're used to.
It would not surprise me to have them go on a roll and, be just like we expected.
Yeah. Carry on the tradition. Carry it on.
Mike, what do you think? You and I are big prediction guys. What do you got? With Mike and I sit at the game sometime and predict how many plays before we score. And in the past, it was always like 3, 4, 5, and we'd be pretty damn close. But what do you think they're going to do this year? How many wins do you think, Mike?
I don't want to curse them and even try to make a prediction. I agree with these guys. Now, I don't mind throwing out predictions for Michigan or Detroit Lions. My heart's with those teams, but my soul's with the Mariners. So I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to jinx it. You're not going to get any predictions out of me this year, Rob.
Wow. I guess I'll be the only prediction on the panel.
Yep.
Yep.
1 in-season loss. Just one.
Just one.
What I'm doing. Just one. Yep.
Tell us against.
What's that?
Who's it gonna be against?
I don't know. I just feel like they're going to have a good year. I mean, they had three losses last year?
First game last in the regular season, and then the final playoff game.
Final playoff games. I just feel like they're going to right a ship a little bit, right? They're going to make a statement game in that first game. I feel like that's probably going to happen. And then somewhere they're going to have one of those, like, they're young kids. They got some younger players on the team. They're going to have a moment maybe on the road, and it gets away from them and some bad luck. But I think they're going to do better than last year. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great. It's a great program, and we're all, the town. I mean, let's face it, we're all Marine City guys, right? And we're of the age where we didn't have a lot of pride for a long time of Marine City, and they have definitely given us pride. That there's no doubt about it. I used to say, I lived out of the area. Where are you from? I'd say any place but Marine City, and now when someone asks me, I say Marine City. So
I'd never hear about the Harpo curse.
No,
Harpo curse?
no.
Harpo curse?
No.
no.
Well, I'm surprised. Fred, you never heard of the Harpo curse?
No. Lay it on
What?
us.
Wait, we're breaking an exclusive on the show.
Breaking news.
Back in the late 60s. As you guys know, well, I know Rob knows him. He's a relative of his. Harpo?
Oh yeah, yeah. Lippo?
Harpo quit the team because he got caught smoking or something like that.
Well, that sounds about right.
So, Harpo left and said, "You guys will never win another game."
What?
Yes.
Wow.
No way.
I'll have to get the exact number, but they went on like an 0 for 30 or something, 35 or something for like 3 years, and that was the Harpo curse.
Yeah.
Listen,
Wow.
I would have
Way to go, Rob. Way to have a nice relative like that.
Yeah, there you go, Rob.
Well,
Good
I
job.
used to, so I
Well, Harpo's definitely not Bobby Lane.
I grew up in a household, so I listened. You probably know a lot of these stories, Craig. So the before the 80s, when Working Team became the coach and they had the success with him, the last time Marine City was great was when my dad was the halfback, Ron Rhodes was the fullback, and Jerry Morgantine was the quarterback. And I was inundated with those stories all the time about some of their antics, and the 2 years I think they had some pretty good years. I think 1 year they only had one loss in that time frame.
Yeah, I think your dad and Jerry were before Harpo. I think Harpo was like about 68 or 70, somewhere in there.
Yeah, my dad graduated 65.
So they went after Harpo,
Yeah.
Well,
he was the offshoot of the family, right? I mean, he was definitely,
Freddie.
Not to mention the fact that there was the 1 year where your brother was the quarterback, Craig, and you went up and they beat Marysville, and we thought everything was great, and then they went down to Anchor Bay and shit the bed and laid the biggest egg ever to a team that I think had 1 win or 2 wins the whole year, and everybody's like, "No, I can't believe this."
Boy. Oh no!
And I think that gave Marysville the league championship instead, or they were co-champions instead of being the outright champions. We're like, no.
For that one, I think they beat us 7-6 or 13-6 or something like that.
It was something close, but it was like, no. What were you saying there, Jesse?
No, I think Rob mentioned you were the offshoot of the family. I said, well, Freddie can relate.
Yeah.
Harpo isn't for you, and you'll have to ask him to see him. So you remember when his dad had the service station in town?
Oh yeah, my Uncle Steve.
Right.
Yeah.
So back in those days, there was charge accounts, like for the meat market when I delivered stuff, I'd just get gas and he'd send the bill to my dad.
Yeah.
As long as so I pull in there with my dad's van to go on deliveries to Gars and the restaurants in town.
Oh.
And I go to fill up, and Harpo's sitting in that barber chair. And he's sitting in the barber chair and he's going, I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, do it yourself. And Harpo says, I was an innovator He says, I was the innovator of self-service.
Self-service.
I'll give you another story about that service station. So we used to, obviously as kids, we'd ride our bikes all over town. It was one hot summer day and I go in there because I had a flat in my bike or something. And I go in my
Kind of like Fred.
Great uncle. Yeah. It's like Fred. It runs in the family, right? So I get there. And so just like you said, Craig, I don't know which, it wasn't Steve, my uncle Steve. It might have been Harpo, some of the guys who are going to fix my bike. So I go up and sit in the barber chair and I'm looking in my pockets and my uncle Steve comes in and goes, what are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for a quart. I want a Coke. He goes, he goes, you get whatever you want and put it on your dad's charge account. I'm like, really? So I go, you remember that old Coke machine? He had open up that little door, pull out the Coke.
Pull it out.
Boy, that was a mistake. Because I got to tell you, every day that summer, man, I'd take other guys in there. Hey, drinks on me all around. Everybody have a Coke.
Yeah. Love it. It's awesome.
So Craig and Jesse, I'm listening to you guys on the call, and your voice sounds just like your broadcast. Why does Fred's voice change when he announces?
Yes.
You guys know? We're trying to figure it out.
All right. How is it in the booth? You guys doing your job, and you got the voice of the Mariners next to you. Let's hear it.
Buffer there.
Can't hear you, Jess. What was that? What'd you say, Jess?
He's 2 down, so there is a buffer. The clock.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the buffer, is there any changes in the booth this year?
Quit avoiding the question. Answer the question about being near the voice of the Mariners. We want to hear it, Jess. Let's go. Spit it out.
Well, there's bumps, and we got to make sure we don't interrupt Freddie when he's reading the announcements or trying to enunciate the other team's name correctly. So we kind of
or he's doing
or we go right down. We go right.
Mariner, first down, and don't forget half off ring bologna at Zimmerman. Every Mariner victory.
Yeah, when I walk down and say, "All right, Jesse, Craig, how do you say that name?" Yep, that's a test.
just like it sounds. You say it just like it's spelled.
Yeah, well,
you ever think of getting there early, going over to the other side, and just
I do, you dumbass. Yeah. Well, that's really innovative, Rob. I don't know. I've never thought about doing that. Dumbass. Jeez, what a douche canoe.
Instead, you get there 2 minutes before you're running up to the booth. You can barely negotiate the stairs as it is.
I'm thinking, Rob, you're going to be there the first home game, Rob, in the booth.
First home game, yeah. He calls me up one day and he's like, Rob, hey, you gotta, can I get your space heater? Because it's fucking cold in that booth. That's what he tells me. I have yet to get that space heater back.
That was probably the game in August, too.
It was in September. I mean,
yeah,
I'm like,
whatever. I got your space here. It's sitting in the back of my car, but you left abruptly from Port Huron to Florida.
And it knocked down the road, so you can't get it tonight.
Yeah, I left it on the side of the road while I'm getting my tire fixed. But so
first 5 minutes of this, because you're not gonna believe what they said.
Whatever.
He'll believe it.
Yeah, nothing shocks me. So I'm at this point, whatever. So hey, Craig, real quick, you mentioned there's a new coach at the JV level. Are there, other than Joe moving up to the varsity, is there any other new faces that we expect to see on the field?
No, they've got same coaches on JV, same helpers, couple of the players from like 2020. I lose track of names, and I know their faces are, but I don't have their names on top of my head.
You'll see some new water boys. I know that.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some new water boys upcoming, and they're at practice every day this week and giving it their all. So
the triplets graduated. They're in.
And what are the? Do you know what their names are?
Mason Hanna, I know, is one. I think Brett is gonna be helping him, I think. And I don't know, we'll just see who else.
Coach, Friend's kid,
Yeah.
Brody.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
oh,
awesome. Got the
Nice.
traditional water boys. That's awesome.
You know, and
Hands.
I don't know if you've ever seen Darren in some of his heated moments on the timeouts, but that is not a job for the carded. You need
Right.
to be on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of that, we have him coming on next week, so
He's
we'll
fiery, man. Last
yeah.
year he was like, we normally get the same coach response. Yeah, well, we're gonna put together a good team, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna go out and kick their ass. I mean,
Yeah.
he was like just flat out.
Yeah,
He was-
very transparent, no filter. He's
Yeah.
like that senior citizen at at the buffet at the Riviera.
You guys got to remember, I coached baseball with him for
Yeah.
a long time.
Well, what you got to remember is I brought him up as a sophomore, and he played for me, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah. He
yeah.
played. and also, if you
Jesse still has
recall,
PTSD over
Yeah.
Darren being on the team.
And I coached Darren when he played baseball at Macomb Community College. Go back a long time.
Oh, boy.
Trust me.
This sounds like a pissing contest,
I
guys.
know it. You guys just want to
Oh,
whip it out
hey,
right now and just see.
He got the best out of me, and when he was at Macomb, he was a pitcher for me. It was hilarious. There's so many stories about
Craig,
it.
let me ask you, who was the best man in your wedding?
Yeah. Look at
Yeah, you, Craig.
Don't take the bait.
Other,
Who was
Other.
it?
my brother.
Oh, your
Oh,
brother.
That's easy. All right. Okay. It wasn't Fred then. 'Cause Fred just assumes he's the best man in everybody's wedding.
Yeah, right.
I just wanted to clarify. I didn't know.
No, I'm the wedding crasher.
He's the wedding singer.
Hey, Fred, did you tell you guys how your dad used to cut the grass on Urban Drive? You're
Oh,
telling
they
them?
know. Of course, they know the story, but
Oh yeah.
One of the-
Charlie.
We've
there's a
seen
couple stories, and Jesse, I think, knows about this one. Jesse, you played when Sean Sharrow and Dave Volkman were on the team, right?
Coach Vidakevich, tell him that.
Yeah, I will. The baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell this one, then I'll tell the Ben one. But we were playing up at St. Clair at the friendship tournament there, and of course Dave Volkman and Sean Sharrow drove up together, and they knew exactly what my dad was going to do after the game. He was going to get in his car, have all the equipment in there, all 50 flags flying off of the white Nova, slide over to the St. Clair party store there, which now is no longer in existence, grab himself a beer, and then he would pick up cans wherever. If you saw it, he'd pull off to the side of the road and pick them up. Well, Dave and Sean knew that, and what they did is from where Darren Letson lives, which I can't remember that right over by Diamond Cove and all that. They went.
You got to edit this bad boy down.
Yeah. Fuck you. So they would take cans, and they on 45s all the way down. They did it all the way down to the River District Hospital, and they sat off the side of the road, and they watched my dad go like this all the way down the road picking up the cans, and they're just dying and laughing.
I love it.
So back in the day when my dad coached football at St. Clair with Ben Vidakevich, Ben heard about what my dad did. So what he ended up doing is, my dad was in the back, working in the side yard, and he was cutting the backyard. Well, he came all the way to the house, and he went in the mailbox and took the beer out of the mailbox, because my dad put a beer in the mailbox, one on the
Cool deck.
on the bumper of the car, 2 on the wood pile, 2 on the on the pool, 2 across at the next door neighbors. I mean, he basically had a case of beer spread out all over so Ben grabs the one out of the mailbox, and he goes right down Aspen Way, and he's just sitting there, and he's drinking that beer. And then my dad's cutting the ditch, and he gets to the mailbox, and he opens it up, and it's not there, and he starts like looking around like that, and Ben is just pissing his pants laughing. And he was just like,
Oh,
just
That's
beside
awesome.
himself.
that is
Now,
awesome.
does that explain why there was a toe found in Duchesne's yard?
Well, that would be one of the reasons, but that's a story of it in itself. But I think the one of the funniest things is Tim McConnell, Clayton Horton, Steve Murray, and myself. We all pulled into the driveway one day, and my dad was sitting outside on a chair, and he had 4 beers left in his refrigerator. We went in the back, grabbed
Right.
them, and we all stood right in front of him, went 1, 2, 3, and all at the same time.
I
And
thought
he
was
looked
gonna
like
cry.
that. And what he did is he ended up looking like that Indian from that commercial where they threw the garbage at his feet and a tear started rolling down his eye. Oh God.
I can't believe how straight Charlie cut the grass.
Oh,
All in bears.
Yeah,
Shit was straight.
yeah.
His lines were straight. Anybody else, man, you'd be all over the yard like
Well,
this.
he
was
just
straight.
stayed in the middle line. He always saw 3, but he just stayed in the middle one. That's what
Yeah,
he did.
it's crazy and crazy insane the things that he pulled up. The one night he came home with in his Nova and I looked in and the whole front bumper on the passenger side was pushed in. And I go, "Hey Dad, what happened to your car?" And he goes, he's looking around and he goes, "Promise not to tell anyone." I'm like, "I don't know. It depends on how good the story is." So he goes,
The wrong
Well, I was-
person to say that to.
yeah, so he goes, "Well, I was coming home from St. Clair and I was picking up some cans and stuff like that, and I saw one right over by Diamond Cove. And so there was a car behind me, so I pulled off the side of the road so he passed me. So I hurried up and I was doing a quick turn to go get the can, and a car came up over that and I gunned it and I over adjusted and I hit a guardrail. I said, "You mean to tell me that you hit a guardrail for a 10-cent can and you did about $2,000 or $1,500 worth of damage to that car?" And I'm like, I'm telling everybody, "Oh, you fucker." I can't, I'm never telling you. I just die laughing.
We think Fred is full of shit, but we know he's telling the truth.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The moral
Hey,
of
I
that
might-
story, though, is what Chuck did do is he saved that pink elephant. He didn't hit it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's just put it this way. I might be sometimes I might be full of shit like a Christmas goose, but this one, I am spot on with that one.
Unbelievable.
Spot.
Unbelievable.
So are you boys gonna go down to the Battle of the Bands on Friday and Saturday?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I hear that Elginak's already been making it rain and trying to get a head start on the Mariners and the Saints trying to win that competition. And then Meldrum, I guess, rented a tour bus and he's charging people to be able to party with them in a VIP area, and all that money is going to the athletic program. So
Coming up.
what are we as former Mariners going to do to upstage that? I know we have Los Gringos and the Gobies on our side this year, but we got to do something so those people from the swamp don't take the reins this year.
First off, right off the bat is parking is going to be very expensive close to the stage for that bus.
Yes.
Yeah. That'll be $900.
You can't
That'll
come
be
to the
$900.
barricade, Jess. That's what we do. We tell them you can't come on Main Street there. And you can't bring that bus unless you pay a lot of money.
And if the bridge to the south, I just happen to know the person that bridge was named after is going to be a heavy toll if you're going to come that way.
Correct.
Yeah. Tell them they can park that bus over by Ward Cottrell, the first school. That's their parking. That's
Yeah.
where they can park that thing.
The long walk.
It's a long walk, baby.
The long walk.
Yeah.
Tell them they could go park in somewhere where the ballet studio is.
That's right. That's right. It'll be an exciting weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully the weather holds out. Everything's good.
We are T-minus 2 days 2 days away from the first night, so weather's looking like it's gonna hold off and gonna be nice. But like I said, guys, I'm really looking forward to the high school season starting. Obviously, I'm sure we're all just dying for college football to start too, and obviously, last week with the with the Lions starting their preseason and getting excited about that. So as we go around the table here real quick, prediction, Michigan State's record this year.
You want me
I don't
to
know.
start, Freddie?
Yeah,
Huh?
go ahead.
I've already
Go ahead,
given
Bob.
you guys in our group text. I think they'll struggle to get to 3 wins this year.
Really?
4 wins. 4 wins. I got 4.
Anybody-
I say they're going to win their first 3 games. So, and I think I think they'll beat Indiana. And I'll say 5 or 6 wins.
6.
I'll Craig, I'll say
And you're a state fan too there, Jesse, aren't you?
just going because that's the easy answer. I haven't followed much of that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with Tim's prediction. 4 games. They're gonna win 4.
Okay.
I think they're gonna struggle. Isn't their first game against Central Michigan?
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
is it
Central
their first game?
Michigan, then Charlotte Spiders. Those
I
are the
think-
2 wins. Then their third game, I don't know. I think they play Iowa. I don't think
Don't
they're
they
gonna
play?
win.
I thought they played Washington.
Yeah, Washington.
Yeah, they're gonna get
Washington
smoked. They're
In
gonna get
Washington,
smoked
they
by
gotta
Washington.
go to Washington, right?
Well, everybody said they were going to get smoked by Miami, and that didn't happen. So, well, I'm always I'm going to play let's just see how it's going to play out. But I think they can win. I think they'll win 6 games because if they don't make a bowl game, or if they finish less than 6 wins, Mel Tucker ain't coming. He going.
No, I don't,
He going. He
I
going.
don't think so. But Fred,
I
I'm
don't think so.
shocked.
He's got too much money in him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm shocked that you're not picking Central Michigan. That's unfucking believable to me.
I never said that.
You said they lost.
You said they're
Oh,
gonna win their
well,
first
listen-
3 games.
Okay, well they
You
are.
did.
But
Up,
okay, yep, you're right. You're right.
Replay.
I'm
We
not
can
going to
do
pick.
replay.
I'm not going
Yeah.
to pick Central Michigan, but in the
You know, our
last
guest-
5 times, Michigan State and Central have played, it's 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if our guests know about the Central Michigan story. I mean, I don't know if they know that. That before we started this show, we met one
Oh,
Winter
God.
Fest in St. Clair at Warwater to talk about if we would do this or not. And we started talking, guys, about the portal, how the portal was going to change college football. And Mike and I kept saying, it's going to level out the
No,
playing field.
wait. You and Fred were both arguing with me. I was saying I brought you around earlier than Fred, but you were arguing with me too.
I eventually came to your side.
Yes.
Oh, funny how I don't recognize that part of the
Fucking
story.
lemming, lemming,
So
lemming.
So Fred kept saying, how it would not, and we didn't say it was going to level out college football altogether, but it would kind of put, make it a little more even. And Fred kept saying no, and his only reference, and this was after about 12 beers, is like every 6 minutes he would just go,
Wow.
Central Michigan.
His example
Not-
was the
it's-
running back from Central Michigan that he
I
thought was
didn't
going to
just say
transfer.
Central Michigan.
Yes,
You
Mike,
did.
am I right?
Hey,
He just,
You
like,
could
blurted out-
barely talk because you had a man boner for friggin' Eddie Stevens. So I don't want to hear it. So stick it up your poo
Let's-
poo.
All right, hold on. Craig's trying to say something there, Fred.
I think you should change the name of the show to Let's Pick on Fred today.
Oh no, this
That's
is
every show.
This is every show, so we're fine. So back to the subject matter. How many wins does Michigan have?
Well, we're
Rob.
going- Me?
Yep.
I think their predictions on Yahoo Sport is going to be correct. I think they're going to go 13-1 and lose in the championship game to Georgia.
Tim?
I think that would go to the Final Four. That's all I can say.
They would have to be 14-1, Rob,
Is it
to get to
14-1?
the yeah, because
Yeah.
they got 12-game regular season, then the
Never
Big
know.
Ten playoff, Big Ten championship, and then if they get in the Final Four, they have to win another one, so
Yeah.
they have to be 14-1.
Okay,
Yeah.
14-1.
It's a tough road. You got to stay healthy. There's a lot There's a lot of stuff. I say they get to the final.
How
Final
about
four.
you, Craig?
I would say if they beat Ohio State, they'll go 14-1, and I would say it's a possibility they could win a national championship, but I wouldn't.
Bold
Oof.
prediction.
They gotta
That's a
get by the
bold
bull.
That's a bold prediction.
It's hard to get by Georgia, but it wouldn't surprise me.
New quarterback.
What about you, Jesse? What's your prediction?
Yeah, I guess for a little bit that I have seen, I would say that I see them playing for the championship, whether or not they can bring it home or not. But time will tell.
Freddie?
I think they get to the final, and I will predict that we'll finally get a national championships, a one that we should have already had in '97 standalone. This one will be the standalone. Jim Harbaugh finally brings it home.
So you're saying 15-0?
Woo!
Maybe 14-1.
Well, you just said they're going to win the championship.
Yeah, they could still be 14-1 and win.
It can, yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
I'm going 15-0. You heard it here first. 15-0. And
Bring it home.
They beat Georgia.
They're gonna beat the Bulldogs. Woo.
They beat Tennessee, and then they beat Georgia. Tennessee is going to be in there too.
Yeah,
Ohio State again this year. Does Ryan Day survive?
No.
No, if they lose to
No.
Michigan, I don't think so.
Hey,
I
Ryan
think he
Day,
does.
Ryan Day and John Cooper will go bowling somewhere.
No, I think they keep him.
Well,
I
we
think
hope we keep them then.
I think
Right.
they keep him.
Ryan days
Yeah.
are not.
Well, let's just put it this way: he got to come back here, and that stadium is going to be
Ooh.
just.
Ooh. Whoa.
It's just going to be rocking. And
Timmy, you want to go to that one? I bet you we can find some nice seats.
It's probably the best time we ever had in our life, hey Jess? Tell the story.
Michigan, Ohio State game.
Just a quick story now. Quick, Jess. Just tell us the story. These boys don't know.
Your buddy set us up for failure. That's your story.
Yeah, Greg Fry gave us former Ohio State quarterback, good friend of ours, gives
Been
us
on the show.
tickets. Says, "Oh, here, I got a couple tickets for you guys. Go ahead." All right, Jess, fill them in.
Yeah, so we're up in about through the first quarter. We realize we're the only ones in neutral colors and red and white everywhere around us. And of course, they've got that chant where they spell their state they're from. And by about the end of the first quarter, Tim and I are like, "Yeah, we're in the wrong section."
Yeah. Mind you, that was after Marine City won a state championship.
Next morning, yeah, it was
And
the next.
we were up till 4 a.m, and I told Jesse, "I'll be downtown to pick your ass up." I did.
oh my God!
Damn.
Jesse, how many times did they spell their own state wrong?
Oh God!
Every time.
You remember? Oh,
You know what I
No.
can't figure out? They always say the Ohio State University. Like there
Wait.
could be another
Oh.
Ohio State University up
Wait.
there that they're worried about. That's
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I just love the fact that the patent
oh.
department rejected them getting the patent on the word the.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell, dude? Seriously? Ohio State University is good enough, dude, because guess what? You're not the only university in the state of Ohio. I just thought I'd let you know that too.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of morons.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, anybody that lives in the state of Michigan and is an Ohio State fan, you need to go pound sand. You guys are ridiculous. Get the hell out of my effing state.
Look at him chasing away potential listeners. Jeez,
Yeah.
oh, Pete. Can't
Not
keep
good.
them
And they're all from the Elginak market.
on.
Oh shit. Well, that's great.
All right, Freddie, you want to do our thing, our spiel? Are we wrapping
Yeah.
that up?
First of all, hey, Craig, Jesse, thanks for being patient and working with us to moving the show to this week from last week. Appreciate that. Love having you guys on the show. Probably have you on just before playoffs, to talk playoffs and see what our predictions will be for the playoffs. But thanks again for being on the show, guys. yeah, if you want to watch the show, guys, you can see it on YouTube. You can see it on Instagram. You can see it on Facebook, and Twitter. If you have any comments, feel free to leave some comments. We'd love to hear from you. We'll have the show downloaded probably tonight or tomorrow. And next week we will have Coach Darren Letson on, and I believe that's going to be on the 21st. If we can.
Can you
That's a
Don't-
Monday?
put my name in your listing when you put it on YouTube? Because I don't want somebody coming at me 5 years from now saying, "Hey, is this really you on this show?"
Well, yeah, we're gonna say, hey,
Nobody watches.
Nobody
Craig.
watches, Craig. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
there's no, we get 3 listeners. 2 of them are Fred. You know, he'll
Yeah, right.
rewatch the show twice.
I will tell you that your last year show had well over 100 views. So kudos to you guys.
Were
So,
we-
yep. So, hey, go Mariners this year. Hey, I will see you guys in the booth in a couple weeks. Yep. Go Mariners. And you guys have a great night. And we'll see all of you down at the Battle of the Bands on Friday and Saturday.
Sounds good.
See you in the
Thanks.
booth, Rob.
Yes, sir. The czar.
Loser.